The Tennis Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost, because they're the first ever bank gambling for better. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet with regard to SGPN to get a $25 deposit bonus. And welcome, everybody, to the Tennis Game Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It is currently Wednesday night, late Wednesday night, May 21st, around 11:24 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Rose episode Scott Reichel, once again going solo for this pod. Time to break down the quarterfinal matches taking place on Thursday in Geneva and in Hamburg. Apologies for the late episode, but damn, that Knicks-Pacers game was crazy. Game went to overtime, so I was going to sit through it, and either way, the Pacers came back and won. But we'll talk about that on the NBA show in the morning. Point is, though, going to break down about 8 matches for tomorrow, so looking forward to it. Should be fun. Before we get into any of the actual breakdown of those matches, though, a quick recap of the last episode and what happened in the matches on Wednesday. Starting off with the lock and dog, overall a decent episode for us. Hit the lock, had Paracard team total over 12.5 at -130. Never in doubt, ended up winning a breaker against Bublik. Then he won the second set comfortably. So a classic Paracard scoreline. Nice win there for the lock. For the dog, people lost, had Guillaume money line against Agut at even money. Weird match. He was up 5-2 double break in the first set, and then lost 11 of the last 12 games. I don't really know what happened there, but either way, Giron completely imploded. Double break, 2 chances serving it out, and then he eventually won 1 game for the rest of the match. So he went from cruising to getting destroyed in about 10 minutes. So either way, point is picked up a loss there for the dog. Nice win, though, with Paracard. Look for a sweep here for the Thursday matches. Now, before we get into any of the recap, though, for the Wednesday matches in particular, remind everybody once again that you can help the show grow by leaving a like and subscribing to the actual channel. We're closing in on 950 for subscribers. Hopefully, you can help us get there by time for the next episode. But a reminder, you can also find the podcast on Spotify or Apple, audio only. So if you do want to listen to the podcast without the actual video or live stream component, you can do that too on Spotify and Apple. Plus, a reminder, check out the merch store because we have a great discount code right now on the merch store. We do have the code DGENS at checkout for 20% off everything in the store. So don't forget to use the code DGENS at checkout for 20% off everything in the merch store, including the tennis stuff, which involves the shirts, the sweatshirts, the mugs, high quality, very cheap. Recommend getting yourself something there. So once again, check out the merch store with this limited time offer for a discount code. Time to get into the Wednesday match recaps. A lot of intriguing tennis that we ended up seeing on Wednesday. Starting off with the straightforward stuff, Hamburg, because we ended up seeing a lot of, I'd say, straightforward matches with Leheshka beating Cerundolo, and a nice upset win for him. Agut continues to roll. Beat Tiafoe 6-2, 6-3. Echeverry beat Ugo Carabelli 6-4, 6-4. Rublev beat Engel in straight sets. Saw Kaboli beat Fekina in an upset in straight sets. Then you had the 2 wars of the day. One of them was really just nuts, because you were looking at what looked like it was going to be a straightforward win by Darderi, because he was up a set in a break early in the second set. Then he blew it, and you figure, okay, well, he's up a break again. He's serving for the match at 5-4, and he choked it again. Then he breaks again. He's serving for the match at 6-5, gets broken again. Then he has 6-3, 3 match points in the breaker. He chokes it again. And then eventually he wins the third set 6-2. So Darderi was up a break 3 separate times in the second set, had 2 chances to serve it out for the match, got broken, and had 3 separate match points in the second set, blew it in the breaker, blew it, and then eventually did win the third. So that would have been an insane all-timer if he lost the match, but he was able to regain his nerve 1 in 3. Nice job by him. Besides that, though, the main talking point of Hamburg was, of course, the upset by Muller over Zverev, because Muller was around 6-1, and Zverev in his home country in Germany lost in a pretty embarrassing fashion, as he was able to take a decent lead in that breaker. He ended up leading 4-2. I believe that was the point where Muller hit the crazy running passing shot. So he was almost up 5-2 in the breaker. And he lost, but Zverev minus 1,000 ended up losing the match to Muller. So classic Zverev, pretty rough loss for him there. But nice job by Muller to keep his composure and to survive a final set breaker against Zverev. Then you ended up seeing Felix destroy Paracard. Destruction. 6-2, 6-4. Crazy stat of the day, though. Paracard only had 1 ace in the entire match. Felix was phenomenal. So we'll see how Felix looks moving forward. But he definitely has been looking like his old self again in the first 2 rounds. We'll see how he looks moving forward. But nice dominant win by him over Paracard. Now moving on to Geneva, you had some straightforward matches early, and then unfortunately anticlimactic finish in the only 3-setter of the day. Fritz beat Hallis in straight sets with a breaker in there. The Nishikori situation was weird because Nishikori was up 5-2 in the second set yesterday. They suspended the match. So we thought, okay, Nishikori will get some time to potentially rest. Maybe he'll win the second set and onward. And he never showed up for the match on Wednesday. So he was playing on Tuesday, was up 5-2. They had a suspension, came back the next day, and he said, you know what, I don't want to be here. And he quit. So kind of a weird situation where he quit after about a day-long rain delay, which I don't think I've ever seen before. But either way, Nishikori ended up quitting, and Khachanov advanced via retirement. Offner beat Borges in 2 breakers. Arnaldi beat Morozin. Hurkacz destroyed Rinderknech. Saw Djokovic look good, beat Fucsovics. He looked fantastic over the course of that match. Saw Papirin beat Fernley, and then you ended up seeing Norrie beat Makic. Makic won the first set, lost the second, then got injured, and ended up having to retire in the third set. Bit of a shame, because Makic is a good player, but he has been getting injured a lot, and I do think that could be a reason why you want to stay away from him when it comes to betting him to win events. But either way, point is Makic got hurt again, had to quit, and Norrie did end up advancing. Either way, though, I'm moving on to the, I'd say, other matches that are worth talking about. Not really anything else in terms of drama that I want to mention. Looking quickly at the matches from Tuesday, if anything jumped out to me, Baez lost to Ugo Carabelli, so Baez continues to be in free fall. Nothing else really add. I felt like it was pretty straightforward. Anyway, time to move on into the matches for Thursday, the quarterfinal matches in Geneva and in Hamburg. For that, though, a reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, which is EdgeBoost. They have the first ever bank help for bettors, ensuring that all transactions gambling related are improved. The usage fees and home balance and cash records as well. 100% approval. Promo deposit. Sign up today. EdgeBoost.bet. Promo code SGPN. Deposit $25 and interest match deposit. EdgeBoost.bet. Promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Onyx Fantasy because they have their brand new promo, which is the extenders bonus, because Underdog is going long for the NBA playoffs with their extender bonus. Hop in for game 1, and the longer the series goes, the bigger the bonus gets. When you sign up though for your new account, use the promo code SGPN to claim a special pick and a first time offer up to 1K in bonus cash on fantasy. Promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Game Podcast. Finish recapping what happened on Wednesday. Time to move on into the quarterfinal matches taking place in, we'll do Hamburg first, actually, because Hamburg's starting at 6 a.m., Geneva starting at 7:30. So starting off with Hamburg. For this one, we're going to look at the first matchup, which is between Etcheverry and Lehecka. Fun matchup. Lehecka's minus 186 or so. Etcheverry's plus 150. For the spread, minus 2.5 for Lehecka, plus 2.5 for Etcheverry. The over-under's at 22.5. Now, they faced off a couple of times in the past. It has been pretty even. I ended up seeing Lehecka destroy Etcheverry in the last meeting in Gstaad in 2022. Faced off earlier that year, though, in Santiago, and you ended up seeing Etcheverry win that one in straight sets. So both meetings were on clay, but they were about 3 years ago. Can't really use it. Lehecka, though, is a solid player. Lost the second set to Gojo, and besides that, he's been solid. So I think that Lehecka has been looking good, beating Cerundolo that convincingly. 7-5, 6-2 is impressive. Etcheverry, though, was in somewhat bad form recently, and now it seems like he's regained some of that form because he beat Comasagna and beat Ugo Carabelli. So definitely a nice win beating the two Argentinians who are solid on clay. So for this one, do I think Lehecka should be this big of a favorite? I would say yes. I think Etcheverry is a good player. I think Lehecka, when he's healthy, is a very solid player. I think Lehecka's top 20 caliber. The only issue is injuries for him. I do think the main difference for these two guys is going to be the serve. I think Lehecka's serve is better, and I do think the forehand that he possesses can definitely frustrate Etcheverry, making him play quite defensively. I think for this one, I agree with the actual pricing. I did pick Cerundolo to win the tournament, but I do think that Lehecka was never going to be easy per se. But I thought that whoever won that match would make it into potentially the semi. So I actually like Lehecka here. I think 2.5 might be a bit short. I think he'll win the match. Maybe a competitive one, maybe a breaker in there. But Lehecka, I think, is the better server. I see that mattering in what should be a pretty entertaining battle. Maybe it goes 3, but I think Lehecka wins this one. Give me Lehecka minus the 2.5 games here at minus 117. Moving on to the next match. I'm going to jump around. We're going to save a couple plays for the end of the show. Going to look at the matchup between Rublev and Darderi. For this one, Rublev, decent favorite, as Rublev is around minus 210 on the money line. For Darderi in this one, off of the marathon win against Nakashima, you're looking at him being around plus 177. For the spread, minus 3 for Rublev, plus 3 for Darderi. For the over-under in games, 22.5. For that history, I believe they never faced off against each other before, so we have nothing to talk about there. Quickly just confirming that's actually true. Yes. So Rublev has been looking good. Beat De Zoomer and beat Engel. Engel is a relatively unknown teenager from Germany. He's going to be solid. So definitely I'd say a nice win with the crowd being against him there. Bit dicey there in the second set, fought off a set point, but was able to win that 1-7-5. Darderi, though, beat a relatively unknown German player who's only known for celebrating after Shapo got injured. He's not really a good player at all. And then he ended up beating Nakashima in what should have been straight sets, but ended up going 3. Now, both guys got firepower. Both guys are good on clay. Rublev's been streaky, but it seems like he's starting to play better again. Darderi, though, did win a clay title in Marrakech a couple of weeks ago. For this one, though, give me the team total over. I'll go with Rublev. The team total's at 12.5. Minus 130, give or take. I think that's reasonable. I think Darderi's a pretty good server. I think Rublev might struggle to win in dominant fashion in both sets. I am going to pick Rublev to once again win the match, but I do think Rublev, who's gone over this team total in 3 of the last 4 matches, does have one competitive set, I'd say, on the cards here. Give me Rublev team total over for this one. I see a close set, then maybe Rublev coasts after that, but give me some type of 7-5, 6-2, something like that. So give me the team total over for Rublev in that one. Moving on to Moore against Felix. Now, Felix, of course, off a very easy win. Moore had about a 2 hour and 40-minute marathon against Zverev. Felix is minus 210. You're looking at Moore at around plus 180. For the spread, minus 3 for Felix, plus 3 for Moore. The over-under's at 22.5. Now, for this matchup, I'll point out that Felix has been looking really good. Good for him. I mean, he was really bad for the last couple months after being great to start the season. Faced off 2 times in their careers. Faced off last year on hard court in Shanghai. Moore killed him 6-3, 6-2. Faced off on clay in Lyon 2018, and Felix won 6-3, 6-1. Don't care about the clay. That was, once again, 7 years ago. Could care less. The hard court meeting, it doesn't really matter much to me either. Moore played fine. He was able to get the job done. Zverev, in classic fashion, went conservative on big points and just kept really avoiding to apply pressure, and that eventually came back to bite him. Felix, though, has looked really good. And the fact that he was able to destroy Pericard 6-2, 6-4, only gave up 1 ace in the entire match, he's been returning very well. I think he might roll here. I know it sounds dangerous because that implies I'm having faith in Felix, but I think I am and actually put faith in Felix here. I think he's played very well, and I do think that Moore off the competitive win against Zverev might be tired. We'll see what happens. But Felix has the firepower, the good serve, and the return has been fully there so far in the event. Give me Felix minus the 2.5 games here. I think he'll win comfortably. You could argue maybe for the sets, if you want to go for minus 1.5 sets, you can get that at plus 124. I didn't mind that. I think Felix wins, though. If you want to ask right now who I'd actually pick to win the event, I might actually take Felix, just based on current form, which sounds kind of nuts where we were about a week ago. But still, I think Felix has looked great, beating Altmaier and beating Pericard in straight sets comfortably. As for Moore, the win against Zverev was very impressive, but it's a quick turnaround, and I question how it'll look the day after. Give me Felix minus the 2.5 games here, which you can find at around minus 130, give or take. So that'll be my main play for this one. Moving on to the matches in Geneva. So it should be a pretty fun card here. First match, you have a match between Khachanov and Ofner. Now, Khachanov won on a pretty weird scenario where he was probably going to lose the second set and Nishikori quit. Ofner won 2 breakers against Borges. Now, for the money line, you have Khachanov at minus 200. Ofner's plus 160. For the spread, minus 2.5 for Khachanov, plus 2.5 for Ofner. The over-under's at 22.5. Now, looking at the form both players, Khachanov got by once again on a pretty lucky set of circumstances. He's been fine recently. Not amazing, but he has played better recently. But you're looking at Ofner, who's been good. Went through qualifying, has not dropped a set yet, so he's won all 8 sets he's played in. Beat Opelka in qualifying, beat Gakov in straight sets, and beat Borges, who's pretty decent on clay, in straight sets. Now, I do think Khachanov being favored makes sense. However, I think Ofner's alive, actually. I think he's looked very good. I think if you win 4 matches in qualifying or not in one event, you look good. And I think you can definitely upset somebody. Khachanov was on pace to lose a set to Nishikori, who has not played much on clay this season. And the fact that Khachanov was pretty fortunate to get by because of injury, I do think Khachanov might be vulnerable to an upset here. I think Ofner will keep this close. I don't mind the over. I don't mind the Ofner team total over games here at around, it's actually at 12.5 plus money. The over 2.5 sets, though, I think might be appealing, which can be a decent price as well. You can find the over 2.5 sets at around, sorry, trying to find it. That is available at around plus 130. I don't hate that, but I am going to give Ofner more than a puncher's chance of winning. He's a good clay player. He's played well. I think he can play well once again here. Give me Ofner in an upset to get the job done. I think there's some value for the actual price. Moving on to the next matchup. You have a matchup between Arnaldi and Djokovic. So for this one, rematch that we actually saw from a couple of weeks ago as Arnaldi beat Djokovic in Madrid 6-3, 6-4. Now, for the actual pricing, Djokovic expect to get revenge because he's a pretty decent favorite here as Djokovic is minus 338. Arnaldi is plus 268. For the spread, you have minus 4 for Djokovic, plus 4 for Arnaldi. The over-unders at 22. Djokovic in straight sets is minus 115. Arnaldi to win a set is minus 115. The over 2.5 sets, by the way, is plus 146. Now, if you want to go for an alternative line, you can't find Djokovic minus 3.5 games. If you want to take that approach instead, you can find that at minus 130 as well. Now, Djokovic looked great against Fucsovics. Good for him. Definitely needed to play well after how he's played for the last couple of months. Arnaldi, though, beat Gaston in a marathon and beat Morozin in straight sets. So he's been good against pretty decent clay competition. Joker looked great against Fucsovics, but will he be able to get some revenge against Arnaldi? I'm going to say yes in this one. I think Djokovic looked like his old self again. Maybe he'll look worse playing the second day straight, but I do think Arnaldi is a guy that was pretty, I don't want to say fortunate to beat Djokovic because he dominated the match, but Joker was in a rough place mentally, I'd say, for the actual match, just not playing well, got rid of Murray because of it. I think hitting the reset button by kind of having a couple of weeks off might actually help him out here. So I actually don't mind Joker to get revenge here. I think Joker wins this, might go to a tie break, but I think that eventually Joker will apply pressure. Thought he was looking very sharp with the movement against Fucsovics, and the serve looked pretty good. Give me Joker, minus the 3.5 games here, minus 130. Might be close but for a bit, but I think Joker eventually breaks away. Give me Joker, minus 3.5 games here for this one. Moving on to the last match on the card, you have Papirin against Norrie. Now for this one, Papirin's a favorite, not by a lot though, minus 122. Norrie's even money. For the spread, minus 1.5 for Papirin, plus 1.5 for Norrie. The over-unders at 23.5 games. And for the head-to-head, I'll mention that Norrie is currently 1-0 against Papirin, faced off at hard court in 2019. Means nothing, but that's the only meeting they have. Now, Norrie went to qualifying, and he looked pretty good in qualifying, as he was able to beat Kirkin and Brooksby, beat Stricker in straight sets, then ended up having the retirement win in the third set against Makic. Makic, though, good player, no shame in that. Papirin, though, had a marathon against Jari, who loses pretty much every marathon match he's in, and to be firmly comfortably in straight sets. Now, Norrie, I think, is a pretty decent player. We know that he's the opposite of Papirin, though. He's very consistent, no firepower. And Papirin is extremely inconsistent with a ton of firepower. So it should be a bit interesting. I think Papirin's better, if you're asking right now who I think is the better player. But the argument is, will Norrie's consistency eventually extract enough errors from Papirin to win the match? Maybe, but I do think Papirin's the better player. And with that being the case, I don't mind the even money. This might go to 3 sets. I mean, I don't mind the minus 122, I don't mind the over 2.5 sets, like plus 125, plus 130. I see a close match here, but I do think that Papirin is in better form than Norrie right now, at least based on what I've gathered for the last couple of events. Papirin has not been great, I'll admit it, but Jari, I think, has been pretty good recently in terms of his serve. Not an easy guy to beat. Fernley was comfortable. I mean, Norrie's been good in this event, but I do think Papirin has a certain amount of firepower that can really frustrate Norrie, and I think Norrie was lucky that Makic got hurt. So based on that, I am going to go with Papirin here. Might be close. I'm not going to bet this match, full disclosure. I think it's more of a just kick back and enjoy type of match, but I do think it's going to be a bit of a marathon here. Give me the over 2.5 sets. If you want to go for the team total over, I don't mind that either. You can find both guys at 12.5. I think that's reasonable. Maybe if you want to go for a same match parlay and pick a marathon. But the only problem there is that Norrie does have a couple of lopsided sets in there because he's not the best server, which can be a problem. But I see a marathon there. Give me the over in that one as my main thought for that matchup. Anyway, it's going to wrap it up for all the quarterfinal matches here in Hamburg and Geneva for Thursday. Time to move on into the Lock and Dog picks. For that, the reminder that we are brought to you by our sponsor, Rhythm, because they're the home of bet picks and props, so available for the NBA playoffs, for the golf cards. You're available for MLB as well, for WNBA. They're also available for a free trial. Try it out for free for a week. And a reminder, you can also use their discount codes. They have a 25% discount on the monthly subscription with promo code SGPN25, 50% off the annual subscription with promo code SGPN50. There's Rhythm, promo code SGPN5, SGPN50. Reminder, those sign up for the free trial for a week by using the sportscamppockets.com/rhythm link. We're also brought to you by Circle Ultimate Fantasy Ball Giveaway, because Circle Resort and Casino Las Vegas having the ultimate fantasy ball giveaway for a 12-person league to draft in Vegas and be treated like VIPs for their stay. We're going to get a 2-night stay at Circa Resort for the entire 12-person league. Hold the draft at the Cabana. A stadium swim with a $5,000 food and beverage credit, limit transportation, tour from the airport, welcome party at Legacy Club as well for the league, and much more. Contest is from May 5th to June 30th. Enter at sportscampus.com for Circa, at sportscampus.com for CIRCA. We're also brought to you by MyBookie.ag because they're the book to every sport. They have the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs, they have tennis, they have UFC, you name it. They have props in every game as well. Also, use it for a ton of locations. Use crypto for all fast payouts, easy deposits. When you sign up for your new account on MyBookie, use the promo code SGPN for a 100% match up to 1K. Terms and conditions by MyBookie.ag, promo code SGPN. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tennis Scam Podcast. Finished going through the quarterfinal matches in the once again, Geneva Open and the Hamburg Open. Time to move on into the lock and dog plays. So I skipped 2 matches. As I mentioned before, I was going to get back to those at the end. Did skip the Caboli match against the Gut, and I did skip the match between Fritz and Hurkacz. For the lock, I'm going to go with a prop. Give me Hurkacz and Fritz over half a breaker at -110. Same bet to -165 on DraftKings, but I saw Bet Rivers at -110. I'll take it. 2 very good servers. Hurkacz has been serving bombs. Did not get broken against Rinderknecht in the last round. He's been incredible at serving. As for Fritz, we know he's a good server too. And the fact is, you're looking at a pretty consistent theme in the head-to-head. 5 of these 6 career meetings between them had at least 1 breaker. So you tend to see at least 1 marathon. Not a shock there for a set because both guys serve very well. Don't see many breakpoint chances. Plus, you're looking at Fritz having a breaker in 2 straight matches. Had one against Hallis in the last round. I see at least 1 breaker. I think Hurkacz should actually win the match in general, but I think you're looking at what should be a bit of a marathon here. I see both guys who are not the best at returning, but very good at serving, doing their part to hold and force a breaker. Give me the over half a breaker at -110 as my lock. For my dog, I'm going to go to the Caboli and Agut match. Give me Agut team total over 12 at +105. Agut has not dropped a set yet. He's been great in the event. Should have dropped a set to Giron. Since that first set, though, he's been rolling. Killed Tiafoe and beat Giron in straight sets. Caboli, though, has had a couple of competitive sets recently. Has had a 7-5 or 7-6 in each of his last 4 matches. Did beat Fokina in the last round. However, Fokina, you might remember, actually got buried by De Jong in the previous tournament. So it wasn't like Fokina was in great form at that point in time. A win's a win, but I do think Caboli winning as a 2-1 dog might suggest that he's in better form than he actually is. Because Fokina had a loss to Zverev, he lost to De Jong 6-0, 6-2, beat Monfils, then ended up losing to Caboli. It's a good win. I just think that Fokina was mispriced based on his form. But Caboli had a nice win against Fokina, did lose the first set to Sacco, and then ended up coming back and winning 6-2, 6-2. Lost to Altmaier in a challenger, had a war 7-6, 7-6 against Collarini in Torino, lost to Nardi in Rome. He was not really in great form. I'm not going to suddenly overcorrect and say that Caboli should be a -180 favorite here, give or take. I think the price is too big. I think Agut's actually live to win the match, but I do think you're looking at the pricing at -190 or so, being too steep for me. I think there's a couple ways to get there. If Agut wins the match, then you end up getting an automatic push or win. You're free rolling because he can get a breaker in there. He could win a set, losing 3. Couple of scripts, but Caboli, I still think has been a bit volatile lately. He's had a bunch of marathon sets. Agut's looked really good, and I do think that based on his form right now, the pricing feels off. Give me Agut, team total over 12. You can find 11.5s out there if you want to pay like -115 or so. But I do think that makes sense too. For the dog, though, I'll go with the +105. Think's a good price, and I do think Caboli is a bit overvalued now after beating Fokina in the previous round. So once again, the plays here for the quarters in Geneva and in Hamburg. Lock is going to be on Fritz and Hurkacz over half a tiebreak at -110. For the dog, give me Agut. Team total over 12 at +105. That's going to wrap it up for the show. Back once again for the semis in Geneva and in Hamburg. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.